All right, you're still tuned into the #1 breakfast show in the country, Morning at NTV, and I couldn't be more prouder just to know that you haven't moved a muscle. And of course, I do have the incumbent Kawempe North MP, that is Mr. Lateef Sebagala. He is joining us right now in studio to talk about the case of missing persons. The Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Kadaga, instituted or called on the Human Rights Committee, onto which Mr. Lateef Sebagala sits, to actually expedite investigations into the many human rights violations that took center stage during the electoral period. Off the air, Mr. Lateef Sebagala was letting me in on some of the few issues that were raised, but then he said they are still awaiting for approval from the Speaker of Parliament. He's here to delve into more of this conversation. A very good morning, sir.
Good morning to you and good morning, viewers.
All right, what do you make of the case of missing persons right here in Uganda? You have 43 people who were rounded up last week by the government. They're part of the many scores of people who have been rounded up by plainclothes security personnel who are not following the right arrest procedures. What do you make of this as a member of parliament?
Of course, it is very unfortunate that we have missing persons. We have many people who have been abducted, kidnapped. Because I believe when we are in a state of ensuring that all human rights are observed, and then we get situations like people being kidnapped, people being abducted, it's really very unfortunate. So the Speaker of Parliament directed the Committee of Human Rights, of which I'm a member, to investigate all these situations so that we can come out in 1 month with a report. And as a Committee on Human Rights, we have already drafted a report which is waiting for the approval of the Speaker to kickstart our program. And we believe that in a few days to come, we are going to begin our investigations in as far as election human rights abuses we are concerned.
If you could be so kind to let us in on some of the recommendations or some of the things that were included in this report that is yet to be approved by the Speaker.
No, it's not a report being approved by the Speaker, but it is our draft, the draft program, which is
the
being,
draft program on how the report shall be conducted,
on how we are going to conduct our investigations, on how we are going to move, how we are going to traverse the entire country, and we are waiting for the Speaker's approval. And I believe that in 2 days' time to come, maybe the approval will be given by the Speaker. But we, in our draft, we are supposed to meet first and foremost members of Parliament, who experienced some kind of human rights abuses during
first with the MPs themselves.
MPs themselves, who are now current MPs of the 10th Parliament. Then we are supposed to move outside to go to regions. We bring in various people, including those who are going to be sworn in the 11th for 11th.
So
Parliament.
you start with the 10th Parliament, the current MPs who were wrapped up during the electoral period, and then you go to the 11th Parliament.
Yeah, we are going to have to share with them the experience in as far as campaigns were concerned, and what human rights abuses were experienced during the campaigns. Then after that, we will go to the regions. And in the regions, we're going to get many people, including those who are now MP-elect, to share their experience with us, and even other members of the public. Then we are also supposed to meet the security agencies. We are supposed to meet security agencies so that we can also interface with them and also take us through the experience as security agencies. And we're going to meet Human Rights Commission, we will meet the Ministry of Internal Affairs, and also we'll meet even the candidates themselves, the presidential candidates. We are going to interface with them so that they can also share their experience with us. We are going to interface with many people so that we really come up with a report that is balanced.
These young people are being rounded up under the pretext that they are a security threat. Have you been able to assure your fellow MPs that indeed these young people are not a security threat, Mr. Lateef?
Of course, for us, what is very, very important is if there is someone maybe who has a case, Lateef Sebagala, maybe the security operatives have really investigated and there is a case for Lateef Sebagala to answer, do it in a civilized manner. Go to the LOCs, go to let the relatives be in the know.
Fully dressed
in your uniform, identify yourself, inform the LOC, inform the relatives that we are taking Lateef Sebagala Sengendo because of ABCD, so that the relatives and even other members of the public should know what are the charges. But kidnapping and abducting people is not really, doesn't really augur well with what we believe should have been done in as far as democracy is concerned. So we are going to investigate all these cases because we have started getting calls from various people that my husband was kidnapped, my relative was kidnapped, was abducted. I don't know where his whereabouts, and if they go to the police is not giving answer. And now we go to the Ministry of Internal Affairs saying that around 35 or close to 40 people who have been abducted. So we would like to, because any human rights abuse is a violation of someone's right.
Indeed, Mr. Latif Selagala, doesn't this bring back the hallmarks of the tyranny that reigned between 1971 all the way to 1986 when President Museveni took over and brought about normalcy of some kind?
Because if situations of this kind really surface, that means we are not moving in the right direction. If there is any case to be answered by any Ugandan, I don't see any problem with the security agencies going straight, do it in a civilized manner by getting someone, you go through the proper channels,
read them their rights,
take him to the court, and if there is bailable, let him be bailed, if there is any case to answer. So, but the situation as it is right now, that we are having missing persons, and then the security agencies confirm that we have picked some of these people because there's a case to answer. Definitely, what rings a bell in people's mind is that why don't you do it in a civilized manner? Why don't you go straight and inform the relatives and inform the lawyers and inform the relatives of this person you want, that we have taken him or her because of ABCD. So that we don't get cases that someone has been kidnapped, someone has been abducted, because we know that even wrong elements will really use this chance to kidnap people.
Reprisal.
Yes, and then to just go to the security agencies. Yes. Yeah.
Don't you think we are back to the Amin era, the Obote era? That's what I'm hearing.
Of course,
you as an individual.
Of course, if we don't tame this, then that is where we're going. And we wouldn't like to see this situation really going on. Let every Uganda have his chance of believing in what he believes in.
For the first time in Uganda's history, when these reports come out and the culprits have been spelled out in bold black and white, shall we see for the first time Uganda actually putting some kind of repercussions on security personnel who went rowdy and actually tortured people during the electoral period?
You remember when our committee was tasked to investigate safe houses, we made a recommendation. I think it was last year. We made recommendations, and some of the recommendations were implemented, and others. In fact, the director of ISO his contract was terminated. So we believe that for us as members of parliament, and for us as members of Human Rights Committee, we are going to make our investigations, come up with a report. That report must be owned by parliament, and then for us we make recommendations, and then when parliament approves all these recommendations, then the onus is on the executive to implement what we have really come out with, because we are doing it in the best interest of our country. Because in a sinking boat, there is no survivor. So if all of us, without putting on our political glasses, let's see Uganda as a country, let's see Ugandans as people who we feel that all Ugandans have their right to believe in what they want to believe in.
We also hear of
I don't want somebody to be persecuted because of his belief. Because we are getting reports that some of these people are persecuted because of their belief, which is really very dangerous. I want someone who believes in movement to really be proud of his belief, someone who believes in NUP, someone who believes in FDC, not to be persecuted because of his belief.
What is Parliament going to be doing moving forward to ensure that the influence of the military in the electoral affairs of this country is actually abolished or diminished?
I think that will come after our investigations, and I think it will be part of our recommendations. Because we know that if we involve the military in as far as elections are concerned, then the chances of human rights abuse could really come out many. So we believe that after interfacing with various stakeholders, then our recommendations will really be focused on how should we prevent Because when you talk about election-related violence, we are looking at, first and foremost, security agencies and even the people themselves. Because violence might be brought by security agencies or can be brought even by an individual. Are we together? So we are going to look at situations where the military has influenced or where the military has really violated the rights of Ugandans and where other Ugandans have violated the rights of other Ugandans.
The military has justified its heavy-handedness, saying the people who are rounded up were actually linked to plans to cause an insurrection of some kind or lead protests in this country after the win of President Yoweri Museveni, which was contested by Robert Chagulanyi, the NUP leader, and vice versa. So you have military people who are saying there is a plan B, an insurrection phase that we were trying to stop. That's where we are rounding up all these young people using cameras and so forth. But then, what are the members of parliament saying about this? This talk of a plan B, this talk of insurrection. What is the stand of the members of parliament, of the 10th parliament?
I think our laws are very clear that you are innocent until
proven guilty.
Now, if you suspect that Lateef Ssebaggala has plan B or he intends to participate in ABCD, so the onus is on you to prove. The responsibility of proving that there is a case to answer for Lateef Ssebaggala saying is for you to come out with evidence. But suspecting someone and also just kidnapping and abducting someone simply because you have heard that there is a plan, there is ABCD, or they are planning to do havoc, is not a solution. And if you feel that according to your evidence, someone has a case to answer, why don't you do it the right way? For us, we are not saying that the security operatives should not do their work. Do your work, but do your work in conformity with our laws. Don't do your work without following the prescribed rules and procedures.
Many political experts actually attribute this problem to military experts acting on partial information. They say many of the crime intelligence agencies that you have in Uganda have been overtaken by military people. So you do not have people like yourself, Lateef Ssebaggala, who actually act on full information. Could it be the reason why we are seeing people being rounded up, military people acting on partial information?
Of course, acting on partial information is very dangerous. And we may lose a lot of people. We may really find out that if you act on wrong information or partial information, you may end up really destroying our country.
I see.
Because what we really believe that the security operative should do, you have the capacity of making your investigations, finding out who is wrong, finding out why this has been so and what should be done. But if you get rumors and then you act on rumors that ABCD so and so is trying to involve himself in acts that are really contrary to our rules and regulations or our constitution, and then you move in without even following the laws, I think that is really very, very, very unfortunate.
Of course.
And we believe that the security operatives should do their best to ensure that if there is someone whom they suspect, let them do it in a civil way.
Of course. Mr. Lateef Ssebaggala is the incumbent MP for Kawempe North. The incoming MP for Kawempe North in the 11th Parliament shall be Mr. Muhammad Segirinye. But then, Mr. Lateef Ssebaggala, would like to know, the relatives of the missing persons are watching right now, morning at NTV, listening to you. What would you say to them?
Of course, I will say to the relatives of missing persons that as a Committee on Human Rights, we have started on all these investigations. So feel free to contact us, feel free to come and inform us about your missing persons so that we can know who is missing and how and what happened. So you are really encouraged to come and give us all that information so that we can begin our investigations as a Committee on Human Rights. But we know that if you have any person, if you have a relative, if you have anyone who was abducted, who was kidnapped, and you don't know his whereabouts, please feel free to come and give us that information so that we can have where to begin from.
Assuring message to the relatives. Of course, one person who disappeared and reappeared was Joseph Lubega, aka Joe Vegas. He reappeared on January 23rd, but he went missing on the same night last year in December when Zebra Senyang was shot and killed. He would later be released. He said he was held in some kind of a cell. It was dark. He didn't even know. When he was found by people, he told them he was missing for a week, but he was missing for over a month. Now, what will it take for some of the people who have not secured the same freedom or the chance like Mr. Joe Vegas to actually secure the freedom entirely? What will it take?
Of course, for us as a committee, we'll have to do our work, and doing our work well will be supported by the public, giving us more information. Because the one you have talked about,
Joe Vegas,
we thank God that he's out. But there are many Ugandans who are still...
Seems like they just forgave him, according to his statement.
There are many Ugandans who are not known where they are, but they were kidnapped, they were abducted. So
actually, he says some of the people he was with in a cell, they never came back, meaning they were killed. That's what he says.
So that is really very unfortunate, because if someone has been abducted and the security operatives don't own that they are the ones who really abducted and the ones who really abducted that person, if that person does not surface, that means we have so many questions with very little answers.
Yes, Latif.
So we believe that all those people who have been abducted, all those people who have been kidnapped, and up to now they are nowhere to be seen, it is the responsibility of the security organs to let us know. And that's why even last week we tasked the Ministry of Internal Affairs. We must account for the people who are missing, because it's the government role to keep the people of Uganda and also their property. So if someone has been abducted and up to now is nowhere to be seen, so it is the responsibility of the security organs to really own, because this kind of abductions and kidnaps cannot be owned by the public. It can be owned only by the security operatives. So the duty of really ensuring that all Ugandans are protected is under it's the duty of government. So anyone who has been abducted, the government must come out and inform the public what happened and why it happened.
Mr. Latif Sebagala, this is my last question. With government saying that they are actually so focused on crushing this insurrection that is contentious, the plan B. And then you have opposition that is saying, for us, we are giving President Museveni 1 year, he will be out of office. If you have those two factors together, do you think the abductions and the cases of torture that we've been seeing are going to continue for the next 5 years or even more?
No, we don't want this kind of abductions to continue. We don't want this kind of abductions to continue, because we know that at the end of that day, innocent Ugandans are going to suffer. Innocent Ugandans are the ones who are going to lose. So the government should really try its level best, using its security agencies, to ensure that they don't do it the way they are doing it right now. We must ensure that all Ugandans have their right of freedom, right of expression, so that they can really move on as a country. Otherwise, if we continue with this kind of abductions, kidnaps, because what's wrong with coming straight and pick Latif Sebagala in a broad daylight? What's wrong with informing the public in their weekly briefs, like the police and other security agencies, that you have taken so and so because of ABCD, instead of really just kidnapping, abducting? Because if you do that, then we will be back to the past.
Let alone the past, the 1971 to 1986 tyranny. You have civil society actors who are saying this kind of behavior that doesn't give members of the public a chance to get justice or redress might cause feelings of revenge, where people actually rise up and take on those people they believe are actually frustrating their human rights.
And that is very, very dangerous. If people lose hope that now they are being targeted and there is no any way out. And that's why, as a community of human rights, we have come in to ensure that all those Ugandans who have been abducted, or the relatives of those who have been abducted, come out to speak out, so that we can really know where to begin from. And if we continue in this kind of situation, as Parliament, as security agencies, as a country, we are doomed to really to fail. We must ensure that everybody does what he's supposed to do to ensure that these situations don't continue. Otherwise, if they continue, then we may end up having situations that we cannot control.
Justice for one, justice for all.
Of course.
Lateef Sebagala, the incumbent Kawempe North MP, many thanks for having made the time to share these issues with us.
Thank you very much, and I wish all Ugandans well. And we believe that we are going to do our best as a Committee on Human Rights to come out with really recommendations that can really take our country
Very, very admirable coming in from the 10th Parliament. And to you, the relatives of the missing persons, please take heart. Redress shall be coming your way in the shortest time possible. That's as part of the recommendations or the advice that is being given to us by Lateef Sebagala, who is also on that